Hi there, it's Mel McMahon, your Aussie fasting coach, coming to you from a different location just to keep the background a bit interesting. Well, if you feel like you're doing absolutely everything right, but that stubborn weight just is sticking around and you feel like it's laughing at you, or maybe you're skipping breakfast, you're drinking your black coffee and you're just toughing it out, but the scale isn't moving. Or maybe you've jumped into the whole intermittent fasting thing because everybody says it's doing miracles for them, but the belly fat just isn't moving for you. Then this is the video that you need to watch. Here is one huge mistake that I find my clients and many menopausal women making that totally disrupts their fasting journey. It can make belly fat actually grow worse, and it can leave them feeling more drained than when they actually got started. I'm going to tell you exactly what the mistake is and how you can fix it, based on what we know about our wonderfully complete hormonal system after we're in our 40s and we're 50s. This piece of information, it's like a piece of the puzzle that you've been missing and how it could change everything. First of all, let's look at the menopausal factor, why your body changed during your 50s and beyond. The rules, let's think about them. The first things first, before we get into the big mistake, you have to understand that your body isn't playing by the same rules as it did when you were in your 30s. The game has changed, and if you're using the same routines that you did when you were in your 30s, you are going to feel like you are not getting anywhere. Most of the generic fasting advice out there that you see online and on the internet isn't created for the menopausal body, and it doesn't have your particular needs in mind. In fact, a whole lot of early research on fasting was done on men, and so their hormonal needs were completely different from our hormonal needs, and you need to keep that in mind. So what's different now? Well, it really boils down to two hormonal heavy lifters, estrogen and cortisol. Let's start with the estrogen. As we head into perimenopause and menopause and beyond, our estrogen levels naturally start to drop. Estrogen does a lot more than just handle reproduction. It's like a master regulator for our hormonal needs, our mood, our bones, and you guessed it, it's our metabolism and how our body deals with stress. When estrogen is higher, it acts like a bit of a buffer, making us more resilient. And when it declines, we lose that protective layer. That brings us also to cortisol, the main stress hormone. A little cortisol is a good thing. It gets us up and going in the morning. But when we lose that estrogen buffer, our bodies can become quite insensitive to cortisol. Things that your system used to be able to handle and just fire up, like a busy day or a night of not so good sleep or a harder workout, can now trigger a much bigger cortisol dump. Think of your body as like a home security system. In your 30s, it was like a calibrated just right. The alarm system went off only when there was a really, really powerful threat. But now in menopause, it's like that sensitivity has been dialed all the way up. A big stress, blows the past right out the window, and suddenly all the alarms are blaring. This new heightened stress response is a real reality right now if you're in your perimenopause or menopausal years. And that's exactly why the old school aggressive approach to fasting can backfire on us really badly. All right, well, are you ready for it? The single biggest mistake that intermittent fasting can do to menopausal women, particularly that will keep you overweight and exhausted during your menopausal years, is fasting too long, too frequently. I know that sounds quite backward. We've all heard that the longer fasts are better, right? And more fat burning and bring better results. But for men and for younger women, that can sometimes be true. But for women in menopause, a long aggressive fast like daily 18-6 or a 24 window often sends your body into a major threat mode. Remember that super sensitive security system I just mentioned earlier? When your menopausal body, which is already dealing with hormonal stress and a lower estrogen level, when it senses those long periods of not eating, it doesn't think, awesome, let's burn some fat. It actually thinks danger, famine, crisis. That alarm system goes off, flooding your system with cortisol. And what does cortisol flood into the system? What does that do? Well, actually, it does the opposite of what we want it to do. First, it tells your body, survival mode, store fat, especially around your middle. It's a deep-rooted survival instinct, and your body thinks a crisis is happening, and so it will deliberately hold onto your energy. That frustrating belly fat is exactly why it will not release. An aggressive daily fast might actually be contributing to it. The second high cortisol mess that plays with your thyroid issues is, and it can slow down your metabolism. So now that you may be eating less, but your body is burning even more and less calories. It's a cycle that's almost impossible to win. Thirdly, it can break down your muscle tissue for quick energy. As we get older, keeping muscle is absolutely our priority as older women. Even when you're resting, you still want to be burning muscle. And so losing our muscle is a metabolic disaster. And finally, when cortisol surges, it can lead to a whole mess of other issues. It can lead to terrible sleep, it can lead to anxiety, it can lead to mood swings and powerful cravings for sugar and for carbs. This often leads to overeating when you finally break your fast. So essentially, if you're pushing that gas pedal and braking at the same time all the time, or if you're trying to force that weight loss with restriction, you're actually in survival mode with your hormones and you're slamming on the brakes for your weight loss. And that is not what you want during your menopausal years. So here is finally the good news. You don't have to give up on fasting. Fasting is still an incredible tool during your menopausal years, but you just need to work with your rhythm or the moon cycle in order to give your hormones a cycle to sync with. You can still fast, but you need to fast smarter, not more. So here are 3 steps that I want you to keep in mind if you're in your menopausal years and you're wanting to trigger much more weight loss. Number 1 is start with a gentle fast, such as maybe an overnight 12-hour fast, and then gradually build in and build up to the 16-hour fast, the 18-hour fast, and then the 20-hour fast. Keep it going so that although your cortisol levels will rise, they won't hit a massive, massive rise. They'll just gradually get moved from comfort to discomfort, comfort to discomfort. And that's what you really, really want. Once the 12-hour fast is easy, you move on to the 16-hour fast. Once the 16-hour fast is easy, you move on to the 20-hour fast, and so forth. You need to go at it gradually so that there's only a little cortisol push when you start extending your fasts. Cortisol is naturally higher in the morning. When you get going, of course, you need cortisol to get you up and out of bed and into your day. And so including your black coffee with some MCT oil can really be a good thing in the morning. Put that caffeine in the morning as a stimulant, and that will keep you going a little bit longer and help you go at your day with a little bit more energy. But I want you to hydrate well throughout the day. Most of us are not drinking enough water, and clean water is so important. So start your day, in addition to the coffee, with a big glass of water, and maybe you can add a pinch of sea salt or maybe some lemon water just to give your system a refreshing start to the day. Now, I do want you to add some healthy fats such as MCT oil into your coffee. It gives your system a bit of a boost with the hunger, and this is certainly helpful when you're going into some of those or trying to extend some of those fasts a little bit further. But step 3, and this is important, when you break your fast, and it is important how you break your fast. When you break your fast, you need to break it in a healthy way. Don't just dive into whatever your appetite is craving. You want to break your fast, particularly if your fast has been over 24 hours, with bone broth. Then you want to move into some really probiotic and prebiotic good foods, such as the fermented foods, maybe some natural yogurt with some good fats like good fats like avocado, and maybe even some refrigerated sauerkraut. These will really get your microbiome in your gut going in the right direction and rebuilding those good bacteria. You want to combine also with some protein. That's why I mentioned some natural yogurt. That's a good protein. But if you're plant-based, you may want to add in some tofu, because protein is going to really build your muscles after you've been fasting. Make sure, though, nothing is sweetened. You want to keep those sugar levels really low. This combination will stabilize your blood sugar, and it will keep telling your body we're not starving, we are being fed, and so it won't go into starvation or survival mode and hold on to that fat. Once you've stopped fasting for really, really long periods too frequently, you'll be able to watch out on some of those other mistakes that can trip you. There's a huge mistake in thinking that the shorter fasting window means that you don't actually barely eat at all. You've got to remember to eat when you're in your eating window with nutritionally dense foods, as in foods that are really giving your body what it needs. You want to make sure that during your eating window, you are feeding your body nutritionally dense foods, as this will stop your body from feeling like it's in survival or starvation mode. And that is so important. So many women will start to eat such a small amount and their body will hold on to the fat rather than release it. So we're eating nutrient-dense foods during our eating window, and then during our fasting window, we are comfortably going without our food for whatever is important for you. Now, when I talk about nutrient-dense food, what do I mean? I mean all those colourful vegetables, healthy fats like avocados, seeds, nuts, those really good healthy fats, and fibre. All vegetables and plant-based food, even fruit, has fiber, and you want fiber because that will keep you satiated and you'll feel full when you do eat. Many women who are trying to lose weight, particularly in their menopausal years, will really slog it out at the gym with a lot of cardio. They may go overboard on the treadmill, or they may be running a lot. Cardio is great for your heart, but too much of it can actually raise cortisol levels too high. For menopausal women, the real metabolic might and magic happens with strength training. Building and maintaining muscle is the single best thing that you can do to fire up your metabolism. So more muscle means you burn more calories 24/7, even while you're sleeping or just vegging out on the couch. Aim for 2 to 3 strength training sessions per week, plus a smart fasting schedule. That means after you've worked out, you're breaking your fast with a nutrient-dense meal. Okay, it's time to wrap it all up. That frustration that you are feeling, that fasting just simply isn't working, needs to have a bit of a shake up and get back into sync with your rhythm and your exercise and your water intake. You've just been using a playbook that may be suited to your 30s and not to your 40s, 50s and beyond. The big takeaway is this. For women in menopause and even those in perimenopause, you need to fast smarter, not harder. That is the only way to win. By shortening your fasting window or doing some of those extended fasts at the beginning of your cycle or your moon cycle, if you're tracking with that, and keeping your eating window filled with nutrient-dense foods and drinking lots of water is going to really help you on your fasting journey. Well, if you do this and you are kind to yourself and you listen to your body's signals, you will win in the end. You just need to keep at it and keep stopping those cortisol spikes from going high on a regular occasion. Well, if this was helpful for you, please subscribe to my channel. Comment in below what was the one thing that you learned that really helped you, and just comment on how your fasting journey is going, particularly if you are during your menopausal years. You may like to check out my my 8-week fast burning blueprint series that is on YouTube channel, and there's a free download for you if you wanted to check that out. Also, you may want to join our Fast Like a Girl Aussie Facebook group, because there's lots of us doing this fasting journey together, and I'd love you to join our community. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and God bless you.